How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Drew. And in this video, I am going to discuss yet another report that talks about students' decisions when pursuing a college education. Now, this was a survey that was conducted by the Art and Science Group, which is a higher ed consulting firm, in which they polled roughly 4,000 high school seniors and asked them about their attitudes towards cost of attendance, and if that was a driving force in their decision making, and if there were any other sort of aspects of the college experience that were important to them. So not surprising, students did value cost of attendance, and that really influenced their decision making in pursuing specific institutions and college in general. And what was interesting about this is they took about half of that group, so roughly 2,000 students, and they polled them during the January and February months and said, are you ruling out schools based on cost of attendance? And at that time, about 40% said, yes, cost of attendance is too much, I'm ruling out these specific institutions. They then polled the other half, again, roughly 2,000 students in the late spring, early summer months, and asked them the same question, are you ruling out schools based on cost of attendance? That number jumped up to 52%. Now, a likely explanation is, as students are moving closer to enrolling in their institutions and attending, they're starting to receive their financial aid packages, and they're also starting to comprehend the reality of attending and the cost of attendance. And so it's interesting to talk about this because it's very overwhelming when these numbers first hit, and often students don't know what to do with those numbers. They don't know if that will sustain them. They don't even know which loans they should accept, if they should accept any. I've worked with many students who refuse to accept loans and they just want to go off of grants and scholarships, which doesn't even cover half of their own cost of attendance. And so it was discussed in an article, which I will share in the description down below, that many of these students, while they did file FAFSA, they don't know where to go beyond that in terms of seeking information and support. So it was suggested that these students, or all students in general really, need to contact the financial aid offices of their selected institutions and ask questions. Ask them, what does this mean? What does this package mean for me? And are there any other alternatives or options for pursuing additional aid? Is there any additional institutional aid that may be available for me to help me get through this? Institutions also offer cost of attendance calculators on their websites, and a lot of students don't use them. And understandably so, because they're complex. There are so many variables because you have to plug in how many credits are you taking? Are you a resident student? Are you a non-resident student? Are you living on campus? What's your major? Because some majors offer or don't offer, they charge program fees. So you could be an education major and just be charged tuition, or you could be a business major and be charged tuition, and then on top of that, a program fee of $1,500 every semester. That makes a huge difference when cost is tight. So these are things that students can use to get a better understanding of what the actual cost of attendance will be for their specific situations, but they're underutilized and they're kind of confusing. So the question now is, how do we make this more transparent or more available or offer more support for these students when they are not pursuing it themselves? Now, the other side of this report, which I also found very interesting, is that equal ranking based on these student responses was the student experience. So what that means is these students valued the quality of the programs offered and what types of programs were being offered at the colleges that they were looking at. They also discussed research opportunities, internship opportunities, what life would be like post-graduation. So am I going to get a job with this degree? And it shows that in spite of cost of attendance, students are still pursuing the idea of going to college, which seems a little bit optimistic when you think about how many people are now questioning the value of a college degree. However, what I will point out is I wonder how valid that is when we've created degree creep in a lot of these jobs where a bachelor's degree is required for many of these common jobs that these students in particular want to pursue. So is it that they want to go to college for that education, Or is the driving force that they know they have to go to college to get a degree, to get a job, and they're trying to just push aside the realities of the cost of attendance because they know this is a one-way street for them? So I'm curious to know that side of what these students were thinking, or their decision making and their thought process in pursuing those options. And so this article had also suggested, or there was someone quoted in the article suggesting that because students had ranked highly the value of a student experience in their decision making, that schools should lean on their history and their traditions, or what they offer, their strengths. I also found that interesting because I've talked about this in a few of my other videos. We're kind of all the same in higher education. When we talk about marketing ourselves as institutions, very rarely can we set ourselves apart in what we typically market, because we're always saying we're cutting edge in research, we're cutting edge in education, we offer opportunities to everyone, and we offer the premier college experience, and we offer support, and we're inclusive, and all of these things. And sometimes it just boils down to cost of attendance and actual location of the institution. So I'm curious to know more or hear more about what that would mean for institutions to market themselves based on the experience they offer. I would love to be a part of that discussion and hear what is being tossed around, because I also think there are so many smaller opportunities that will set institutions apart, but you can't necessarily market that to a broader audience. So you would really have to focus on individual students and what they are seeking. So if students do want to live on campus, that's where you can highlight some of these unique features with the residential experience, but they do not apply to students who would be not living on campus. So then what do they value? Is it technology in the classroom? Is it location to where they live? And this would be my next question is, how can you get ahead of that? How can you provide all of those options to those students with how you market yourself without losing anyone? Can you do that? Or do you have to stick with a broad message of we're a premier institution, we're cutting edge in research, we offer this, and we're inclusive in our admission process? And is that really what we're just stuck with because we're trying to cast a wide net? These are the things that I think about. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on this as well. And if you do, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to continue to hear more about these reports as they come out and what students are thinking, and make sure you hit subscribe. And as always with that, I will catch you in the next one.